Thank you kindly for coming to our internet show.
We are the Bendays, and this is our live stream album release show.
The lights are solid red and
100% live.
it's moving. Okay, cool. All right.
100% in studio. And 100%. Pretty good. It's going pretty good.
But love is sweet and
Okay, we are here in COVID times with the Bendays, Andy, Scott, Sean, Lawrence. And for our viewers and listeners, what are or is the Bendays?
Bendays are the little dots, Benday dots, in comic book and newspaper printing.
Cool.
Yeah. I used to have a band called Pixels, and those are the little square dots that we all know and love.
From television, from like video media.
Yeah.
This started as kind of a solo project for you, Andy.
Correct.
Talk about how it grew from a solo project into what we see and hear in front of us.
Okay. Well, so I did the bedroom recording thing for like, I don't know how many years it was. 5 years, I guess, as Bendays, and occasionally would wrangle friends together to play a show. Lawrence, did you ever play any of those?
I don't know.
We did some, I don't know. Anyway, I'd just get a different lineup when I booked a show each time. And then that's kind of how this started, except we just kept playing with this lineup, and it evolved.
Lawrence, you were also in Pixels, right?
I was, yeah.
Was that strange transitioning from Pixels to Bendays, or did it feel natural?
No, it was very natural, seamless, you might say.
Yeah, Pixels had kind of run its course at that point anyway.
Yeah, I always feel like Bendays was what you did to try out songs on the side of Pixels.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's
and
where they had the
you were
cheeky
doing them
name.
solo.
Well, no, I was
know.
doing them solo at home, but I had like people flesh them out when I played live.
Scott, Sean, what's your origin story with coming into the Bendays?
Andy and I have been together in one way or another since like before I was born. His parents and my parents grew up together. We're like best friends. My first band, Chaos Joe, I was in 6th grade, and the other dudes in the band were in like, I don't know, like 8th grade. So I thought I was like hot shit.
Yeah,
and Andy was the only game in town when it comes to a teenager who had a pretty legitimately professional setup for a kid, as in like recording wise anyway. So we recorded our first demos there when I was like 12, and subsequent like high school bands after that, we all went to Andy to record. And eventually Aquatic Symphony came about around 2009. Andy joined us as a drummer, and we stayed in touch as friends and hanging out and stuff, randomly making demos and shit throughout the time. And then he texted me and said, let's make Bendays be a real band. And I said, I would like to make Bendays a real band, and I'd like to be in that band.
Sean, you were in a band called High Watt, I think?
Yeah.
You play what was described to me when I was in high school as playing goof. I don't know if that's like an appropriate or real thing, but that's what I was told. You play open hand.
Yeah, I think that happens because, I was always a guitar player who just messed around on other people's drum sets. But I think I'm supposed to be a lefty drummer, but everyone else is a righty drummer, so I always played people's kits set up right-handed, so I just ended up never crossing my hands because that wasn't natural to me. So it just ended up staying that way.
It works.
Is it called Goofy Foot?
That might be where.
Remember that from Skate or Die?
Yeah.
You put the remote in Goofy Foot
And
mode.
from actual skateboarding.
Yeah.
I never actually skateboarded. I just played
cool.
Nintendo.
So just figured out where that came from. It's a real term that somebody applies
Goofy
to drums.
Footed.
That's cool. You also wind up, there's like almost like a swing. You wind up playing a little bit behind the beat sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting feel that it gives to the whole band. Is that something that comes out of the dynamic of the band, or is that something innate to your playing?
That's a good question that I've never really thought about. Probably from my guitar playing, probably a holdover of that. Just playing slow, behind the beat guitar, like sludgy kind of guitar. I don't even think about being behind the beat. I guess it's just the way I play,
You're a real fun drummer to play bass with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that you just said that because a lot of times drums are just kind of driving the rhythm.
Yeah.
But in Bendays, the drums really are its own lead instrument at times, particularly in Deep Space and Desmond. Yeah, it's really its own like melody going there.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Just trying to channel Neil Young drums on that song.
Yeah, Sean and I kind of worked a lot together on the rhythm section of that song to tighten it up and like really lock in with each other. We spent a lot of time specifically on that.
are your influence, either as individuals or as a band?
Ready? On 3, everyone shout band.
Okay.
B-52 Hotel.
I heard B-52, something hotel.
I'm
Atlanta. That's
a punk at heart. I love NoFX, like probably too much for somebody who's 30 years old. But I also had a long obsession with like Modest Mouse. Got more into like Neutral Milk Hotel, the Gerbils, obviously like Beatles, Elton John, David Bowie, Iggy Pop, The Cramps. Moving on. Anyone else?
Lawrence, who are your influences?
Oh, I don't know. You know, lots of stuff.
How about an album, if not bands?
An album.
Any album that you
Dark Side of the Moon.
It's a good
Pink
one.
Floyd.
like.
I know you sincerely mean that, but that was the first album that came to your mind. Come
It's because it's his favorite.
on.
I can give you like maybe top 4 or 5 bands, I guess. Probably be I don't know, like Brian Jonestown Massacre and Godspeed You Black Emperor and Providence's Lightning Bolt, and Nirvana had a big influence on me as a kid.
Is there
Nirvana.
another lightning bolt?
I feel like you're
I
forgetting.
think
a
Nirvana
really big
kind of
one.
holds a
What?
special place in this band.
Forgetting
So
a big one.
Ween?
Yeah.
Ween, I love Ween. Good music.
Ice, ice, baby. It's cold, cold ice. You're on thin ice, but karma's gonna catch up with you. Measure once, cut twice. You're gonna wish it was as stupid as that. And when your nightmares feel like dreams, I hope it never happens to you. You're on thin ice. And when you fuck up everything you do, and the rumors that you spread are tied together by bad thread, man. Someday it'll catch up with you, and your nightmares will feel like a dream. I hope it never happens to you. Hope it never happens. You're on thin ice, but karma's gonna catch up with you. It was your own device, and somehow someone still loves you. Whoa, ice, ice, baby. It's cold, cold ice. When your nightmares feel like dreams, I hope it never happens to you. But when you live the life of a thief, someday it'll happen. You're on thin ice.
Jess, what are some of your influences?
Jess? Who's Jess? Oh, hey, Jess.
Oh,
What you doing down there?
Thanks for asking. I don't know why I'm really here, but
Because you're a crucial member.
The door was open. She got in somehow.
But I hear a lot of your band's influence in, and maybe just organically because you guys spend so much time together. I hear a lot of your style in
my band.
Yeah, Tiny Diamond. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We started just playing live, and then the first time we just recorded everything live, and that was cool. We just did 3 takes of each song and picked the best one. But I think that, like, Tiny Diamond loves the Bendays, but like we
love Tiny Diamond.
I feel like Tiny Diamond is like the sister band to Bendays, and we need to play as much as possible together once everything's safe again.
Yeah, we've had a little hiatus for a while, so but we still all love each other, and I'm trying to get them over here as much as possible to play on my new project, which hopefully just includes everyone involved.
And it's really cool.
Thanks.
But you fit so well. Like you really, that second time we ran through.
Lonely.
Thank you, Lonely. Like it all meshed. You were comfortable. You're very much part of the dynamic of what was happening in the room.
Thanks. Well, the reason I'm even here is because Andy asked me to sing on that because Tiny Diamond was here, not here, but at the old studio doing a radio show, and he had asked me, my other bandmate, to sing on the other song. She couldn't be here today. Then I sang on that song, and then I just keep getting invited to sing anytime that song is on the list of things to do. So happy to be here. Thank you.
But you were always
was fun.
Do you remember the first time that music really caught your ear and grabbed your attention?
Me?
Who?
All of you. For sure, Andy, we can start with you.
Yeah, I was probably like 4 or 5.
If you said the exact same thing I'm about to say, I'm gonna be so mad.
Um,
So you're 4 or 5.
yeah, I guess it's probably we had a similar
I would
parenting.
imagine it might be the exact same.
Yeah, my parents made me like a mixtape with like Talking Heads and Devo and B-52s, and I had a little Fisher Price boombox, not unlike that thing over there, but it was different. But I would listen to it, and even as the batteries died, I'd like listen under my covers at night, and it would be playing so slow, but I just wanted to keep hearing songs over and over. It's like, take me to the
That sounds nightmarish.
It basically,
to fall asleep to.
that's probably why I love vaporwave. Honestly, it's like
That's where it
my
came
earliest
from.
like listening to, because I didn't want to like tell my parents I killed the batteries in my tape players.
Batteries were a rare commodity in the Davis household.
Yeah,
in the
they're
90s.
expensive. This was the 80s.
You gotta understand. Yeah, I mean, it's similarly. I had like a a little Walkman that would run on batteries. I have a similar experience to that. But I used to have a little talk radio, and I feel like it was that song "West End Girls" by the Pet Shop Boys. Like, I used to like listen to the radio, just like hoping the song.
That's so specific.
Yeah, I think it was that song, but I think it also might not be that song.
That's a good song.
It is a good
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
I love this song to this day. But
It's very much of the time, but it's such a great song.
Let's see. I was 5 in my dad's Chevy SN pickup truck, and Nirvana smell of like. Of course, it was "Smells Like Teen Spirit" came on the radio, and that's it. That's my first memory of music really grabbing me and being like, "Oh, this is a thing. This is something I can experience in my life as a young person looking forward to its possibilities."
If something's gonna grab you, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, and I remember standing outside of class talking to one of my classmates, and they're like, "Oh, what bands do you like?" And I was like, "Huh, I have no opinion on this yet." And they're like, "Oh, you should check out The Offspring." So then, yeah,
Another one of my first.
So then I went to like whatever Sam Goody or whatever it would have been at that time, and
Sam
got
Goody.
Offspring Smash on tape, and then I listened to it, and just that first like that drum roll that starts it off, I was like, "This is awesome."
Was that the first album that you bought with your own money?
Well, my mom bought it for me, and it had a lot of swears, but she was cool about it. I mean, at one point, I loved Offspring until someone showed me Nirvana, and then I stopped listening to Offspring.
I'm sure you're not the only person that happened.
Yeah.
I like Aerosmith.
I don't like
That's
That
Aerosmith.
was one of my
I really
first
don't.
The
bands.
first ones that you bought?
Yeah, my first CD was for Christmas with my CD player was Aerosmith's Big Ones, their 1994 Greatest Hits compilation.
I
Does
do
that
have
have
The
the cow
sumo
wrestler on
wrestler.
it?
No, that was Get a
That's
Grip,
Get a
which I
Grip.
never had.
I do remember listening in your room to Dude Looks Like a Lady
Yeah.
while we were doing cartwheels when I was like 5 years old.
Yep.
Sandy, I also love Aerosmith.
Yeah, come on. If
I really don't like Aerosmith.
fine.
Only that Dream
All right,
On
we'll
song.
move on.
The song's pretty good.
Dream On's pretty good.
It's overrated, but it's okay.
We used to sit on the wall outside the art center, flip through books, spacing and wonder what's real. If I can't miss you at all. Paint on your jeans and made a mess of your hair.
multi-instrumentalists. You're all songwriters. What kind of dynamic does that create in a band where inevitably someone has to like take the lead and say, this is the way the song's going to go? What is that process like?
Well, it's easy for me because it grew out of my side project, even though it doesn't really feel related to that anymore. But I feel like I can not be embarrassed about saying something when I need to. I don't think I ever have, though. Have I?
I mean, it grew out of your side project, but I feel like we kind of, the four of us, made it something different and slowly started incorporating our individual styles and songwriting techniques into your songs.
Yeah, Desmond originally was like a fast, like folky song before. It was like
yeah. But there's never any issue. I feel like we all work like pretty seamless. Like our different techniques kind of like work seamlessly together to, I mean, make what you hear.
What are some songs that you've written today that before Bendays you wouldn't have written or couldn't have written?
Like new songs yet to be heard by,
or even on this album on a special day.
Probably the song Deep Space.
This song is called Deep Space, and I wrote it for Sean. Space, sky without ocean. It's been years since I got going. Deep space, alone with my ocean.
So we're sitting in this time capsule of the studio, surrounded by analog equipment. I love it. I love everything about analog, but why hang on to analog in a digital age?
I love the warmth and everything that you get from tape recordings. I'm not necessarily die hard, like has to be analog all the time, but I totally embrace it and I love the sound. But no, I think Andy's the true proponent of keeping it authentic.
I like the process, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it therapeutic? Is it meditative?
It feels more serious because it's a pain in the ass. It's like oil painting
It's
versus
true.
sketching in the notebook. Not that sketches aren't good, but an oil
I love
painting
that
would
analogy.
be more of a masterpiece.
And you have to be a little bit more on your game. You have to really work at your part
Yeah,
to get
puts
it
the
right. You
focus
can't
on
just be
playing.
like, all right, let me just go back here, cut that part out, and I'll just like copy and paste that there, and copy and paste that there, and now it's perfect. It's like you have to play the whole part perfectly, or not as perfectly as we choose to play it. But I feel like there are probably, if younger bands come through that could care less if it was analog or not, that will just throw it on Pro Tools and.
Yeah, I've done like, I don't know, like a freelance guy came in and recorded a band to tape, and then they digitized it and took it home and finished it there, and that was cool. They'd never seen a tape machine before, and they thought it was really neat.
They'd never seen a tape machine?
I don't think
What-
so. They were
what-
probably
what
like
is it?
19 or something. I don't know. This was last year. So
Oh
that
my
means
God.
they were born
So
in
they're
like the year
20 now?
2000. Yeah.
But that's amazing. I mean, when I think of a recording studio, even though I've never owned a professional tape machine or recorded tape in the way that you guys do, when I think of a recording studio, I think of tape. I think of a reel-to-reel. That's so fascinating to me that they not knowing what a tape machine is in terms of being a musician and
Yeah, recording music is.
Oh,
stage five.
they knew. I'm sure they knew what it was, but they'd never seen
I never
one.
thought I'd see one in
Yeah.
nature.
Andy, you've told me this story. Other people might not have heard it. You made a trek, a journey to Electrical Audio, Steve Albini's studio in Chicago.
Yes, I did.
And I look around here, and I've heard you tell that story. I've seen images from that.
Yeah.
That was clearly it made an impression on you.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess because I bought the Tape Op book, which was back. I guess Tape Op was still kind of new then. And they had like a book. So anyway, he was the person in that book that I related to the most, and of course, you recorded in utero, which I knew, and Breeders albums and Pixies and stuff. And anyway, yeah, I liked his approach to recording, just naturalistic style. I don't think I really get a sound that's like him, or even want to, but I like that he does it. It feels he's very into authentically documenting a band and being as transparent as an engineer as possible, which I really appreciate. But I want to do that, but I just can't help myself. I have to twiddle the knobs and add something to it. I don't know. Anyway, so I was going to school in Chicago, and I took the train out and knocked on the door as a joke, and someone answered and took us, said, "You want to come in? You want to see the studio? Steve's mixing a band right now. You can probably pop in and meet him." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's do this." And yeah, that was it. He was drinking a milkshake. He was mixing some band from
What flavor?
Europe. It was oatmeal. And yeah.
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
I'm not familiar with that flavor.
Oatmeal milkshake?
Yeah, I was drinking an oatmeal milkshake.
Man, that Steve Albini's a weird guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what a freak.
Yeah. Next question.
Yeah. I was so nervous,
Check,
though.
please.
He was very nice, but I got nervous, and he asked if I had any questions. I was like, "No, I can't think. I'm too excited." And then he
Can
just
I
spun
shake
around
your
in his
hands?
chair, and the guy was like, "It's time to go." And I was like, "All right."
And then you drop to your knees and you're like, we're not.
Yeah, basically, it
we're
was a
scum.
step away
I
from
mean,
that.
that exact situation probably happens to him 14 times a day.
Probably, yeah.
Midnight March asleep in the theater lobby. She went to work in a jewelry factory. She lost her finger in some goddamn machine, but you're on your way. Oh yeah, you make money and friends. All she wanted was to stay out late and skip school with the next door neighbor. And now and then she looked back on the good times in between the sound of the punch clock. Where did it go? It's not good. All that you do is make money for you. And it's not good. All that you do. All that you do is make money for and it's not good for you. All that you do, it's all that you do.
Lawrence, you seem to bring a more quote unquote radio friendly or radio sensibility
Yeah.
to the band.
That's my background.
You spent some time in French Kicks.
True.
Do you attribute the time you spent in a band that had to deal with the radio industry and like the whole machine that of like the quote unquote industry to the way you approach the Bendays?
I went to high school for performing arts high school and studied music formally. I didn't learn. I'd actually do the work or learn any of the things, but I managed to graduate somehow. But I think it's just because I just spent a long time playing scales and learning jazz and learning and classical. I mean, I literally can't do either of those things at all. But I guess it's just coming from a more sort of formal music background.
You rein it in,
No, you do.
Andy and I wanna
We're a
put
little
distortion
more
on everything,
experimental,
Yeah.
and not that you're not known to be experimental, but you're all right, that's cool, but it'd be cooler if it was 2 notches down here.
Yeah,
And we
Marge,
need that. We
Marge
need that.
was what was it, 6 chords in each line
Yeah,
of the song,
you-
and he was like,
yeah.
I think it should just be E to C.
There's a couple new songs we're
Yeah,
working
that is
on where
better.
you've made it a point to be all right, see how there's 6 chords here?
Yeah.
How about there's just 2? And it becomes 1,000 times better.
But I mean, I think that's just I think that's just a function of formal training. It's just you hear any songs and there's a million chords, but if you really listen to it, it can really just it's just one chord. Especially stuff you'll hear on the radio or popular songs. It's just one chord. It doesn't change that much. And
If you can do it with 3 chords, don't play 6.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely less is more is
Yeah.
usually the rule.
That makes the fuzz pedal so much more hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I don't use pedals so much is not so much that it's because I don't like them. It's just because I'm sort of lazy about setting them up and like turning them on and off.
That's a good reason.
They
Like-
are annoying.
Like today, I actually tried to use a bunch of distortion pedals and like they didn't work. It literally like they would
Did you
cut
have
out.
pedals set up?
you didn't.
I had
I
the
was
two
looking
different
for a
ones, yeah.
distortion and I just didn't
Yeah.
even.
So
It wasn't working.
I don't know. I think it's not. I actively want to use them, but they don't want to use me.
I love that.
Mhm.
I love that.
So that's where I'll leave that. Yeah.
So this studio, this band, at times it doesn't feel like any of those things. It just feels like friends or family, just together and community. Could any of those things exist without the other? Like if the Bendays ceased to be a band tomorrow,
We would
I
still
feel
be
like you
here.
guys
We would still be here making random music and hanging out. Yeah.
and vice
Yeah,
versa.
and there's and then
Yeah.
other folks too that come
And at the
by.
studio, yeah, we would find another random place to hang out and make music together.
And Hopper, we share this studio with a
Right,
band called
right, we can't
Hopper,
forget about Hopper.
and Nishan is a sweet. They're all sweethearts, but Nishan had found this space because he was recording with me, and he knew that I wanted to move, and he has actually built most of the infrastructure in here for us, which is I know it's still coming together, but this room was just an empty, really disgusting room when we first saw it, with like literally bags of trash and a shopping cart and a church pew.
Wasn't there a terrible
and
like painting? What was
there was
that?
a painting. Actually, it might be down. Yeah, it just had like all the guys' vices in it and something about the devil.
Yeah,
it was
that's
like on
scary.
velvet.
That's so
It was
depressing.
terrifying.
That is terrifying.
And anyway, so
Yeah, Hopper's great.
there's like Hopper and
They
then
practice-
Jess
they practice here,
and,
what, like once a week?
Tom and like lots of people come
Oh yeah,
over and
Tom Austin. Look him up.
collaborate.
Tom Austin. Jump the Gun on Spotify.
Shout out.
He is the most talented person I've ever known, and he deserves all the credit in the world.
I wish I'd listened to you just one time in all those years. I wish I could compromise, comprehend what you do. I wish I could be like you, just like you, but it's
album, A Special Day, it looked like for a little while it was going to be called Bogus Life. Why the title change?
We bought a video camera, and the first time we turned it on, it had that title, and it's on all of this footage we shot because we couldn't figure out to turn it off at the time. And I don't know, Bogus Life seemed to maybe a little too negative, even though it is how I often feel about life.
But A Special Day
Not
kind of
right now,
became
but this
like
is a special
an
day.
ongoing.
Yeah, it was a joke.
It's like an ongoing like.
I love that. You guys bought a that VHS camera that you shot all the footage on.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it already had a tag for the tape that was in there that was A Special Day, and we couldn't get rid of it, so we shot a bunch of footage of
That is
ourselves hanging
amazing.
out, and it stayed. So we always refer to it as the Special Day tape. And yeah,
It did later change to like Happy Birthday and like Merry Christmas. And then we finally turned it off.
yeah, we figured out how to turn it off.
It
Like
changed on its
6 months
own?
later.
No, I think just by like fondling the camera, we must have hit the button.
Fondling the camera.
Hey, I don't know. Whatever you want to call it.
Pressing
We're gonna
each
stick with it.
crevasse.
So this project, Special Day, emerged out of an EP called Dots.
Yes.
Was that always the plan, that it would grow into a larger album?
Yes.
That is all.
Very straightforward.
It was.
We had a show in Vermont and we wanted to have something to sell, so we kind of like took the songs we were done with, made a tape.
It was always Dots was always the beginning of our full length, but like he said, we wanted to have something to release for a show, so we kind of rushed a few onto an early EP for the show in Vermont.
I love it. What makes a song finished?
It's never finished, only abandoned.
I agree with that answer 100%.
What makes a song good?
Probably if I wrote it. Just kidding.
I love this record. I'm a fan. I'm a little biased. But what do you hope happens when people listen to A Special Day?
They give us $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was
Not a penny less.
I just want people to love it. I want to have finally released an album that I'm proud of, that I can actually have a vinyl of and like share with my friends and family.
This is a bucket list moment.
Yeah,
for
this
me.
is it definitely it's more than just releasing a band releasing an album. This is like a 15-year journey of all of us on different paths leading to releasing something that we're proud of.
in our margaritas. Bogus life, bogus life, bogus life, bogus There was a man called Lime. He lived 2 lives at a time. He was in love with Holly Martin. From who knows no pardon. That was his only bogus life, bogus life.
That was a song.
I didn't realize that it was me that had that fucking fuzzy.
I know, I liked it.
Oh yeah,
I was like, who the fuck is like... Jess loved it.